Hello, friends. It's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums today with a quick little weekly check-in reading for the week of, what's today? December 22nd through, what do we have? What's Saturday? Maybe I should have looked at the calendar. I always I'm going to look at a calendar and then I don't. I think it'll be like the 28th or the 29th. 28th through Saturday the 28th. We do have different holidays this week, so I know it can be a pretty busy time period for everybody. And for those of us that celebrate Christmas and Christmas Eve, a lot of us are kind of winding down on the year. So I wanted to just kind of see what we should focus on. It's going to be a quick video. So what do we need to know as a collective? We have the Queen of Wands. Let's see, what do we need to do as a collective? We have the Ace of Wands reversed. What do we need to release as a collective? We have the Nine of Wands. And then what do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have the Six of Wands. Lots of wands. I guess it's going to be kind of a little fiery week for us. Maybe all the, things kind of shifting into Capricorn season. A lot of us are still feeling a little bit of this fire. Okay, so I know we just had the end of Mercury retrograde. We're still in the shadow period as Mercury continues its transit back to where it was before Mercury retrograde started. And I think a lot of us are kind of revisiting certain things or certain themes that have kind of come up during Mercury retrograde, as well as kind of feeling the intensities of, maybe like the end of the year, the winter solstice and things of that nature. So I think a lot of us are just kind of feeling a little bit of this very like tired, rundown energy. I think that's kind of how a lot of us are feeling. So with what we need to know this week, we have the Queen of Wands. Now, the Queen of Wands is essentially this energy of, really stepping fully into what we are feeling is what is motivating us. I think is kind of like the best way to put it. When I think of the Queen of Wands, I think of her as like this mover and shaker and kind of like getting out there and someone who really understands like their magic and what drives them and what motivates them in so many different ways. So I think with the Queen of Wands, it is this warm energy in the sense of how can you step more fully into that understanding and knowing of what drives you, what makes you feel passionate, what makes you feel like there's some momentum and movement going on in your life. And I also feel like there's a lot of this sense of like travel and, really going places, like kind of feeling like things are finally shifting and we're kind of getting out of certain patterns or certain things that are no longer aligned with us. So I think with this energy, we're kind of being reminded of, how are we showing up for ourselves? Like, what is it that makes us feel like sovereign in our lives in so many different ways? And so we have a little bit of this indication that what we need to really focus on and what we need to know is that we are very powerful. We have the ability to really move towards the things that light us up, move towards the things that make us feel grounded in our power, grounded in what we want and what we need. We don't have to minimize ourselves to make other people feel comfortable. And I think that's a big lesson that comes with the Queen of Wands, is that she is just wholly herself. And I think maybe as we're returning to maybe the places that we're from, or as we're, kind of going around people that maybe we're not typically around, I think that she's kind of saying like, be yourself all the way. Like, know who you are, know what you want, know what motivates you. Don't get distracted by the external noise or the other things that are kind of going on. Now, what we need to do is the Ace of Wands reversed. So, the Ace of Wands is like that new vitality, that kind of going out into, you know, the like getting onto a different path, but then also understanding that this is like the beginning of you being able to do something different. Now, with this being reversed and this being what we need to do, is that maybe we need to not allow everyone around us to understand what can kind of snuff our flame in some ways. And so I think with the Ace of Wands reversed here, it's kind of saying like, hey, not everyone has to be privy to whatever it is that you're trying to do. Not everyone has to understand why you're doing it. You just need to maybe allow yourself to kind of find that inner flame and allow that to be what directs you. So it may feel very much like you're having to kind of hold some things close. Maybe it's requiring us to kind of look at, what is driving us, what motivates us, what makes us feel connected, what makes us feel, in alignment with what it is that we want. So while the Queen of Wands is kind of saying like, know your power and stand in that, the Ace of Wands here is kind of saying like, what we need to do is maybe not kind of go into things like just hot and just ready to kind of make things be how we want them to be. So I think with the Ace of Wands reversed, we're kind of being told to be a little bit more aware that not everyone is going to be as passionate about what it is that's driving you currently. And so we have to kind of take a step back, be a little bit more aware of who's actually supporting us, who sees us and says, you know what, I'm excited for you to do that, who, is really showing up for us in that way. But it's not meant to say like, to see like where you're lacking. Maybe it's more of this energy of really not feeling like you have to constantly explain yourself to other people, because not everyone is going to get it and not everyone's going to see where you're coming from and what you're trying to do. So what we need to what we need to release is the Nine of Wands. Now, the Nine of Wands is usually this card of like resting and reconsidering and kind of taking a step back and maybe caring too much and having to kind of figure out like what's worth our efforts and what's worth our, like challenges and difficulties that we've been feeling. So with what we need to release is that maybe we need to stop trying to like do everything ourselves, or maybe feeling like we have to do everything all of the time. Maybe there's a lot of stuff that we've been kind of sitting on and wanting to kind of do, but maybe we're holding back in some way. Because I feel like with the nines, there's this like, I'm ready to kind of move forward, but there's something I need to let go. And I think with this like having to be something we need to release is that maybe we need to stop allowing ourselves to be battered down and to be taken advantage of or have other people put too many things on our plate. And so I feel with what we need to release is that maybe we need to stop holding back to make other people feel more comfortable. Whether that is, some of the people that you're surrounding yourself with, whether that's like wanting to feel like you need to be a little bit more aware of if you're holding certain people accountable for like what they've done, things of that nature. That's kind of like what's coming up, because again, these are all fiery cards. So I feel like this is really about like what drives us, what motivates us, what makes us feel connected, what makes us feel, grounded and centered in our experience. And I feel like with the Nine of Wands, we're also being reminded that as human as we all are, we don't always have to take every single thing that we've gone through with us. And so maybe there's this sense of we need to kind of put down certain things and we need to kind of take into account what all we have been trying to take with us into the next experience, or maybe into like this next season, because now winter has officially started. So we're kind of getting the sense of like, okay, are we carrying everything that is necessary for us on this next leg of our journey? And if not, then maybe we just need to kind of take into consideration that not everything is constantly blooming. Maybe we need to take a step back to just kind of rest, to really look at, what we've done, what we've accomplished, And maybe that's why we're being told that what we need to contemplate is where we have been victorious, where we have had success, what have we overcome, what can we celebrate. And I think that this week is going to be one of those. And I think just because we have so many holidays this week as well, that we're being reminded like, hey, it is time for us to celebrate and to, look at all of the beautiful things that we've accomplished and not focus so much on maybe the difficulties and the challenges or the things that maybe didn't work out the way that we had anticipated. It's really about understanding that to be in our magic is sometimes a big risk. And not everything that we have an intention for is always going to turn out the way that we had anticipated. We give birth to things all of the time without the realization that they take a life of their own a lot of the time. And we can't really control that. We can try to kind of give it boundaries and try to kind of do what we can where we're at. But it's, again, sometimes a lot of things are just really out of our hands. So I think with the Six of Wands and what we need to contemplate is, where have we actually had successes? What have we accomplished? Like, where can we celebrate ourselves and kind of say, hey, look, how can we allow other people to see us and see what we've done and celebrate us in that same way? Because I think some of us have kind of forgotten what that feels like and what all we need to do in order to really like motivate us into like the next phase. I think that's the best way to start something new and to kind of get into something else is to honor everything you've learned, honor everything that you have experienced, really look at, where you were successful, what you've accomplished, and allowing yourself to kind of take a step back and say, I deserve to, take into account everything that I've overcome and everything that I've done. Like, I should celebrate. And I think some of us, especially during the holiday season, we tend to kind of forget to do those things because we're so caught up in just the doing that I think that this week we're kind of reminded it's also time to just celebrate and to just, feel victorious, to feel successful, even if the success has been hard won, or even if the success is something that may feel very minuscule or tiny, just celebrate. Just allow yourself to say, I, have overcome X, Y, and Z. I have done this. I have learned that. Just, I think that's kind of the lesson for this week is that maybe there's going to be a lot of high tensions, high emotions, and emotions are always like a negative thing. It can be something that can be very, very beautiful, very beneficial to just have a lot of emotion in what we're doing, but we get to choose. We get to choose how we feel and what we do with what we feel. So I think that this week is really focusing on our inner power, understanding our personal magic, whatever that may be, and however we're showing up in that way, while also feeling like even if things didn't move quite as quickly as we would want them to, or the initiation wasn't quite as quick, it doesn't mean that things aren't still shifting and moving. We're going to have maybe a lot of progress happening this week that is going to feel like we're very busy, we're getting out there, we're doing things. But I think at the same time, they say, enjoy it, feel the success and the victory of everything that you've overcome, while also taking some time out to maybe reconsider what you've been taking on that maybe is no longer in alignment with what you want and what you need. So I hope this made sense. I know that this is going to be a shorter video. I really want to say thank you so much for joining me on these. I really hope you guys enjoy these weekly check-ins. I know they're probably not as fun as a pick-a-pile, but hopefully soon, as my schedule allows, I'll be able to start doing some more longer recording and having some time to kind of do some of these videos that I think you guys tend to enjoy. So have a fantastic week. Happy holidays to everyone, no matter how you celebrate or who you celebrate with. I hope you take some time out to, be kind to yourself and take care of you. So have a good one. Stay safe. And as always, make good choices.